how would you assess where you guys are as a team, kind of leaving preseason and officially going into game week with what's coming up this weekend?
Yeah, we're just excited to get going. I know the guys, it's been nice how the NCAA has opened it up. We've had a little bit more time, had to battle the weather a little bit, but had a good weekend. We were able to get outside 3 consecutive days, see those guys compete a little bit. But again, start of the season is here. We're excited, but again, this will be a process where I told the guys, hey, opening day is right around the corner, but needs to be a deal. Hey, this is just the beginning of getting better and better as we go through the course of the year and then eventually get into SEC play.
Will look like this weekend?
Great question. Yes, we'll roll with Tegan Coons on Friday. We'll go Landon Mack on Saturday, and then Evan Blanco on Sunday. I think that puts us in the best position to have success out of the gate. I think you can make the argument where you can mix and match those guys in any capacity, but it was pretty cool. Got to call those guys one by one last night and let them know, but total confidence in all 3 of those guys and their ability to throw the baseball.
What is y'all's plan for Blaine Brown going into the season in terms of managing him as a hitter and as a pitcher?
Yeah, he's just such a dynamic talent. I mean, you could argue he had the best weekend swinging the bat. I mean, the guy hits the ball regularly over 110 miles an hour. And then, one thing we talked to him about is, again, that was a big part of his recruitment process was what does the schedule look like and how am I in a position to have success on both sides of the ball. And we spent a ton of time kind of outlining different options, right? Because, again, do you start? Do you come out of the pen? Does he go from left field and then come in? So what we went with yesterday was a pretty good little trial. We went with the pitcher DH, so he opened up the game, and he was 93, 95 with over 7 foot of extension, really kind of cutting it loose. That velo ticked up a little bit, and then that gives him the freedom to then kind of just go to DH. So it's, hey, focus, go get us some outs. So there's some opener capabilities there, full confidence him able to start, but then also I like the idea of, hey, maybe he comes in out of left field at one point. And, again, there's a lot of options we can do there, but a lot of that with Blaine will just be just communicating with him on how he's feeling, and it's just dynamic talent on both sides of the ball. He does. I mean, Tracy, takes Krenzel deep off the batter's eye the other day. It's really sneaky power. He's backwards, as we say in the scouting world. He's a right-handed hitter, left-handed pitcher, but just sneaky power, from Texas. There's some good toughness there. Comes from a great family, but Ren and Stovall have done an amazing job with him to get a little bit more vert on the fastball. And, again, it's amazing the difference between 14 to 15 and 19 to 20, what that can do to hitters. So, again, he actually got hit in the hand with the pitch, so he's working through some of that. We'll hold our breath a little bit, but it's a true two-way talent, there's no doubt.
Yeah, Josh, where do you envision kind of Brandon Arvidsson's role on this pitching staff? Is that a Swiss Army sort of weapon, and do you expect him ready to go at the start of the season?
So he threw, he's a little bit behind, but he threw last week in a pen, and honestly, I thought he looked like a major leaguer. It's the best I've ever seen him throw indoors, right? So, again, he's a little bit behind in his progression. We'll see. He's going to get through this week and see what he's capable of doing. I think he's more than capable of taking the ball as a starter. I know that was a conversation we had in the summer last year. We're talking about coming back or not, but again, I think he's a guy that just from this new coaching spot I'm in, just gives me a lot of confidence because he's, Chuck and I have talked about he's kind of matchup proof, right? It's just such a tough look. He can get righties and lefties out. The breaking ball is a true swing and miss, and then I just think the maturity has taken a big jump where everything just seems slower for him this year in comparison to last year. But we'll be very, very take it slow with him. Make sure he's got his feet underneath him. He's built up the right way because he's a true weapon for us.
How are the freshmen who got significant playing time last year, like Levi, Manny, how are they different heading into this season than compared to last?
Well, that's what you hope as a coaching staff is those guys make a jump. Usually it's between freshman and sophomore year, and then Manny, the one thing I talk with him about is, like, if you're going to play in the middle of the field, you need to run the show. Like, you need to over-communicate it. Also, we need to tell him, like, hey, be quiet. You're talking too much, right? So that's never going to happen. But he's done a great job just kind of commanding the field. And then Levi, again, has been awesome balancing, catching, and playing first. I think just guys respect those guys because they've played in the league. They know what it's like, but we're very lucky where some of our better players are some of our best people, too. So it's easy for our young guys to have the example to look up to. And in our program, we always talk about competition is king. Internal should be every single day. There's somebody right next to you, behind you, in front of you that's capable of doing it at the same level. But at the same time, those guys have been great teammates and making sure this freshman class is really talented, bringing those guys along, too, and making sure they're getting better along the way.
Josh, in the time that you've been here, this program has turned into one that can compete for an SEC title. Omaha is a realistic expectation. How do you handle like those big picture conversations in February, or do you mention those things to the guys this early?
Great question. I think, again, too, a little easy reminder is what all the resources we've been blessed with here at Tennessee. When the guys walk in the stadium each day, one of my themes has been don't take this for granted. I mean, we're getting to play in one of the best setups in college baseball now, so that's a pretty easy reminder. You don't build a stadium like that unless you plan on playing postseason baseball in there. So, again, that's one thing I've kind of talked with them about, but also, too, like, we're in February. You know, we still got internal competition, attacking each day. Next task has been a big deal. We've talked about a bunch, but I think our guys have that more in the back of their mind, but they've been good with focus, just, again, getting a little bit better each day as we're going to this weekend, and then the season gets rolling here pretty quick.
What has Brady Frederick really brought to this pitching staff and to this team?
Yeah, he's been amazing. I just think it's such a unique and tough look. You know, again, the ball fans that see him for the first time, his fingers literally scrape the ground when he's pitching, right? And again, it's a unique deal. Usually when guys throw from that slot, it's got heavy tumble or sink at the bottom of the zone. It's a ton of ground balls, but he has the ability to basically go just two different fastballs, where it's ride cut or heavy sink at the bottom, where he can get swing and miss at the top or ground balls at the bottom. But he's kind of the way he throws, his arm really never gets sore. So it's a guy we joke about. It's be ready to go. Every day we might be getting you hot or whatnot, but again, he can get outs in a lot of different ways, and he's had a lot of success. And maturity there, and then the athlete is just really good in general, but he's one we're really excited about.
Josh, where's Ariel leaving camp, and how difficult is it, knowing that it'll evolve as the year goes along, but how difficult is it to figure out who's going to play short and second on Friday?
Great question. I mean, again, they've made it as hard as possible on me, to be honest with you, and that's what I talk with them about is, like, at this point of the year, like, plant your flag, like, force me to put you in there. And, again, Ariel has played honestly out of his mind. If you look at what he did in the fall and how his teammates ranked him, and then out of the gate, we kind of bounced those guys back and forth over the last few games. But, you know, he's doing everything we asked for, over-communicating on the infield. He's running the bases at a high level, keeping the ball in front on defense. So excited about those guys because there's a lot of guys that are capable of doing it at a high level, and we'll see how it plays out.
What's Teagan done to deserve this opportunity to start the season?
Good question. Again, I think he's just made a jump. We talked about with the position players from that freshman to sophomore year. Like the theme when I was talking with Teagan and even his dad over the course of the summer was nobody was happy with how the season ended, right? Because he throws in Hoover, and that was kind of it, right? So, you know, I think that's kind of springboarded him into the summer. He goes to the Cape and dominates, for lack of a better term. And again, I think that has really driven him throughout the offseason. And again, we just want him to – there's so many things that go on with being the Friday night guy, but I think the unique part with our staff is we have a lot of guys that we feel like we could earmark as a Friday night starter. So, again, kind of knowing the league, but Ren has done a great job with him. Again, just on the metrics side, we've got some stuff. I don't want to give out all the secrets, but he's made some changes on the pitching side. I think it gives him a little more windows where he can attack both righties and lefties. And then again, just when you come to just competitiveness, right, I think it's as good as it gets when right there with Teagan.
Do you think Grimmer will be available this weekend?
I don't. So Grimm, you know, again, we're kind of getting him going as quick as we can. You know, it's a lower back deal that he's dealing with right now. So again, the cold weather's not helping that out as we go. But complete confidence in Grimm. But I don't think this weekend's going to be a possibility. But Woody and Dr. Clank are doing an amazing job making sure we're hitting those benchmarks as he gets back. But the one thing Grimm and I talked about is I just want him to be able to cut it loose 3 days in a row without any fear of being really sore when he wakes up the next day. Well, for Vol fans, Landon, I think again when I think of him, it's there's some Chase Dolander in there, right? Just even some similarities in the delivery, but the compete factor is about as good as it gets, and the stuff is just gross, to be honest. It's really good stuff. It's a real heater. 2 breaking balls, a change. He's made some adjustments with kick change or this or whatever it may be, but again, that has a guy that's thrown on Friday nights. I think it gives you stability in the middle of the rotation. And I know our guys are going to have complete confidence to play defense behind him. Just by the way he attacks the strike zone and the pace of the game, I'm excited to see how Landon does. And then Blanco, just maturity. It's just, again, you know what you're going to get. It's a very comforting feeling as a coach. He had arguably numbers-wise the best fall of any pitcher we had on the staff. But, again, can really ride the heater, good separation on the changeup. Has thrown in Omaha, has been in a lot of different roles and had some really good times and some not so good. But, we're excited about what he brings to the table there too.
Is there anyone that surprised you in their development since fall ball?
There's been a lot of guys. I mean, if you just go back to this weekend, Nathan Eisfelder takes Tegan Coons deep and then hits a homer the next day. So he's made a jump. I think he's a guy that's just blessed. He can hit. That's a gift that he's got. But Trent Grinlinger had an amazing fall too, swinging the bat defensively. He's really closed the gap. But I think there's a lot of guys you can point to, and it's really just a credit to our coaching staff with everything that's gone on, attacking each day, making sure we're getting reps. But we've put a ton of emphasis on holding runners and dominating the average play and defense, and kind of change a couple of the ways we practice. So, again, but I've told the guys we can practice it all we want, but you got to do it when it's time. So I'm excited to see how that pays off, just individually and then collectively for our group.
Yep. Josh, with the leadoff spot, what's going to your approach to that? I know you had Henry work there this weekend and Jay, and they're obviously two very different types of players, but how do you envision that role in your lineup, and what do those two guys bring to that?
Yeah, I think we can go a few different ways, right? I know we looked at a deal a few years back when we decided to put Christian Moore in the leadoff spot. It was like how many X amount more at-bats a guy's going to get over the course of a full season. And some conversations I've had with Henry, he's open to it and likes it. I just think also, too, we wanted to try some different things this weekend with Jay, just because he's such a dynamic player where what he could do on the bases as he gets better and better, I think it'll change the way they pitch to those guys when he's on base, right? So maybe a little bit more worried about the stolen base. So, again, some of that will go matchup. We'll go look at some analytics and all that as we build the lineup each day. But, again, excited to see which way we go. But they're more than capable of both having success in that leadoff spot.
You've listed off a lot of different competitions you have in different roles. You'll know more, I know, like a month from now, who claims those positions. Do you like enjoy the first month of the season, sort of the unknown, to see who sort of claims a spot?
100%. I think competition, again, we're excited competing against other teams, but also it's internal every day too, right? So, again, those position battles, I always tell them it's pole position going into opening day. And then once the lights come on, we'll figure out what we got, right? And the unique part of this year versus previous years is we haven't played outside competition, right? So, again, we always say you're playing against the game. It's the same thing, but that's a little coachy at times, to be honest. I think there's some guys will adjust a little bit or hopefully elevate their game once they get going. So I'm excited to see how guys handle a full Lindsey Nelson Stadium and, again, another team in that opposing dugout. But that competition, it's ongoing throughout every single part of the year. And I even told our guys in a meeting, we showed them, like, hey, if you look at the years in the past, here's an opening day lineup, here's a random middle-of-the-year lineup, and then here's a postseason lineup, and there's always changes across the board. So, again, we want them to create their own future, go get what they want, and they'll have the opportunity to do that each and every single day this year.
Can you talk a little bit about how your life has changed since being named head coach, and do you have a plan for fitting in some family time during the season?
That's a great question. As you guys know, you'll see my girls will be running around the stadium, right, a ton, right? But, again, we got it's like a daycare up at the baseball offices now. But I've always gone with the fact of, like, the family life balance. Like, I've always tried to integrate my family into work, as crazy as that sounds. So in December was really kind of my hunker down period where I was up in the office kind of preparing for the season. Hey, this is what we want to do practice-wise, make sure we hit X, Y, and Z this amount of time. So, we'd have some Bluey playing on the TV, and I was working on the computer. They're running around the office. So my wife is the best in making sure that, again, I get plenty of time around my girls and holding down the fort while I'm up here, because it's been some late nights. But I know my middle daughter, Maxie, is like, I get to see Smokey Friday. So that's what she's excited for. And, we're just looking forward to having them around. But we're all looking forward to some ball games here soon.
Tony was big on alternating righty-lefty in the lineup whenever he could. Well, kind of what's your philosophy there?
Yeah, I think it's really kind of game to game. Again, if you look at, you got to understand, like, hey, because early in the year, it's like, again, you're kind of trying to, if you don't have as much information, right, whether it be how you're attacking a pitcher or what a team is going to do. There's so much change now on rosters in college baseball early. It's you kind of react on the fly. I think there is some value there for sure, especially like, if they have a guy out of the pen that's, a shutdown lefty, you need to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But also, I love the chess game and the game within the game. Maybe you stack those guys and you have, balance right and left where you're kind of, again, playing that chess and seeing what they're going to do, maybe one pitch ahead, or one at bat ahead. But again, we just want to load up our best nine. That's it. I mean, we've always gone kind of defense first. That's been a huge deal for us around here. But we're very blessed this year where we can mix and match left and right in a lot of different ways, and we'll have balance in the lineup top to bottom.